So, hey everybody, welcome to the hot seat today. This is Pastor Jason, and
this is Tim Lee, your Contemporary Worship Arts Director, next to
Riley Metzger, Director of Student Ministries.
And with us today, we have the fabulous Kristan Cree.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Kristan is she's been a leader here for a long time at Crossroads, well, since I've been here, in many different capacities. Currently, she is serving officially as the chair of our Mission 316 team. So all of the money that people give toward missions then is funneled through the efforts, and that team disperses those and just fuels God's work locally and around the world. And it's been really cool. That's really taken off, and we've really been able to have a high impact with that.
Yes, it's been really good. We've got a lot of great people on board right now, and we've just been blessed with an incredible amount of funding to be able to not just impact this area, but we can go regionally, we can go across the world. We're able to support Jenny Everett with her efforts. So we're able to do that. And then we're able to help little organizations here in the Peoria area, in Washington, and then just any kind of effort that anybody might have here in the church too. So
yeah, and that's awesome. And then there's also the Helping Hands events that you guys have put together. Pretty cool.
Yep.
Pretty cool.
We have one coming up on November 7th, so save the date.
Yeah, what is that one?
That is going to be for the Panther Pro Shop, and it will be putting together some little packs for the kids there.
Awesome. And we also just helped my friend Pineal. He's serving in Spring Creek at the United Methodist Church, but he's from India. And so many people were dying of COVID because they couldn't get to the hospital. And so he started raising money. He was in a covenant group with me, and he was talking about raising money to purchase an ambulance that could be used to help people get to the hospital. And then he was talking about this, and I'm like, hold on a second. And I think I either texted you or Holly, and I'm like, when is Mission 316 meeting? And it's like, tonight. I'm like, well, could my friend come and talk to you all? So then you all were able to partner with that.
Yeah, we were. It was really cool. Banu came and just told us all about this need and really opened our eyes up to what is happening across the world. And this was completely off of our radar.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just one of those things. It really was a God thing, as I think that you would say too, Jason, because you were just sitting with him and the need started to be talked about. And Banu came and just shared with us how an ambulance would be helping not just with it's sad to say, not just people who need to get to the hospital, but those who have passed and they have to, take them to certain places.
Wow.
And so, it was a saving grace for them and what they're doing over there in regards to COVID, in regards to just saving people, getting people from home to a place. And that was also the ambulance ended up being like one of the only places there that you can have oxygen because the oxygen supply was so low.
Yeah.
And so we were able to contribute to that, and we decided to utilize $2,000 of our money. And Banu was going to all these other churches and asking for money. And so we just kind of waited it out, and just most recently received a video from Banu's brother, because Banu's brother was the one who helped to organize all this, and over in India. And they got their ambulance, and then they actually needed double what they thought.
Yeah.
And they got it.
I know. It really was a God thing. Cause so this is a group that was me and my friend Steve Pekaski, who's now, he was at Dunlap at the Methodist Church. Now he's at the Free Methodist Church in Greenville. And then Gabe Wank, Sarah's husband. And so we would meet for this covenant group, and Binu was just so heavy this day. He was so quiet. And we met at Keps, and we're like, what's going on? And he's just like, what's going on in my home country? It's just overwhelming. And he said, so anyway, and then he says, I've been working on this, and he pulls out this, and it's very interesting because, he's a very well-organized, get things done kind of a guy. He's really like an organizer, and he's got a lot more things going on, but he's also the Methodist pastor, and he's doing great work in Spring Bay. They've done a lot of renovation stuff there since he's gotten there. But then he pulled out this this project, and then we were the first church that he was able to talk to, and he said that really gave him the confidence to go and talk to other people because the way you guys responded.
Oh,
so,
good.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, and I know that you guys we're working on getting the details of all the good things that committee has done so we can then share that with the congregation in the coming months. So that'll be awesome. So, hey, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Kristan Creek?
Well, I mean, how far back do you want me to go?
Let's start with today. And then we'll start at the beginning.
Okay. Well, right now I work from home and I work for the Peoria District Dental Society. I'm their executive director. So I work with, I say I have like 200 bosses because there's 200 members.
We have 1,000 bosses because we have 1,000 members. So.
Yes. So you become very well-rounded.
Boy, I didn't come into this thinking there was a bunch of pressure, but now I feel like now that you bring that up, there's a lot of pressure.
So I do that part-time. I help them with their continuing education, and they have to have continuing education to keep their licenses up to date. And then there's social events that get them connected, and I help them lead their board of directors. It's just a lot of nonprofit administration types of things. So I do that. And then on some days when that's not so much of a big deal, then I'm subbing at the schools. I just sub at Central just so I can keep tabs on what's going on there.
Yeah.
Nice.
And you're kind of invested there because...
Well, and I have a daughter, Kate.
So tell us about Kate.
She's in 6th grade there. And so it's just kind of nice to know what's going on.
Yeah.
You know? And it's a great school, so I love it. So when I say keep tabs, I mean... only the best. So.
Yeah.
Well, I think my mom did the same thing. You know, she was always like PTA, and then like would help out in the classroom sometimes. And I think it was because she enjoyed it, but I think it was to know what's going on in the education of her kids because all three of us were pretty much in the same schools. So.
I see Kate like getting ready to shoot a spit water at somebody through a straw, and then her friend traps her on the shoulder and say, "Kate, your mom is right down the hall.
And she turns beet red.
And she puts the straw down, and she has to be good that day.
Yeah, my mom worked at our elementary school growing up, so there's a couple incidences where I kind of got out of some things that I shouldn't have because my mom worked there, but then there was a couple of times where I probably would have gotten in trouble if someone wouldn't have said, "Hey, your mom's right there." Oh, whoops.
Well, it embarrasses her terribly. So
I'm sure it does.
I've been instructed that this year I'm not allowed to speak to until spoken to first.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, she didn't say it that eloquently, but she's just like, don't embarrass me.
It's good to have clear boundaries.
So,
right.
No, I totally remember that stage of being a kid and like you get embarrassed by your parents or something. And so like there was like a couple of years where it was like, just you can act like you know me, but don't get too close.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And then it's like Christmas morning when you're acknowledged by them in public. It's like, look, they like me. They like me again,
I started ignoring her at school, and she actually came up and hugged me.
Oh.
I was like, whoa.
It's reverse psychology.
It is.
So then, and you've also got a wonderful husband?
I do, Jeff. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And he works for a digital marketing company, and he's working from home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ever since COVID.
Is that right? He's been home that whole time.
He's starting to go back in on Tuesdays. And I said, oh, good. Because he talks all day. And I love it. I mean, I love it, but it's just like he's talking all the time and I have to concentrate and I can't concentrate.
I was just, when you said he's working at home and then you said you were working at home, I guess my question would be, so what have been some good things about you both working at home together? And then what are some things that you didn't expect,
to be a challenge?
Yeah.
Well, I would say the challenging thing is just me being able to concentrate. I have to concentrate more. Like I'm not talking all the time. I'm writing more.
Yeah.
And organizing events and such. So for me, that's been a challenge just because he's constantly in a meeting. And so I can hear it. And it's not like we have a real big house. So but that's not a big deal. I mean, it's fine. Now I do all my work on Tuesdays. And then... I mean, the really nice thing is he's just there, So it's nice that he's there and that we don't have that commute anymore.
Yeah.
He can be at things. I mean, he's been at every single one of the cross country meets. So that's been really nice.
That is cool.
Yeah.
That is cool. So let's talk about where did you grow up and all the way through how you ended up at Crossroads.
Okay. Well, I grew up in Aledo, Illinois.
Aledo.
Yes, it's a small little town. It's not easy to get to. There's no good, easy way to get there. It's near the Quad Cities.
Okay. I'm glad you said Quad Cities because I was like, so it's hard to get to, but if you wanted to go there, how would you get there? I'm guessing it's you go towards.
You take a lot of different roads towards the Quad Cities and then away from the Quad Cities and then towards them and away.
Okay.
And so, small town, I just did my small town thing and then went to Monmouth College.
You did?
Yeah.
Fighting Scots.
The home of White Earp.
Yes.
Right? Isn't it?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Did you play did you get to go for free and play the bagpipe? Or?
I didn't, but I had a ton of respect for the folks who did because that was a lot. That was cool. It was really, really cool.
That's awesome.
And then I graduated and moved out to California because I kind of felt stuck where I was. I got a degree in education and history, and I never really wanted to teach. And so it didn't really work out that happened either. So teach in a school.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I was at home for a year after that, after I graduated college, and I'm like, I got to get out of here. This just isn't right for me. And went out to California. I had an aunt who lived out there. So she's like, well, I have a place for you to live. I'm sure you can find a job. And, I'm like, oh man, okay. All right, I'll go. So I went and, I ended up working for the Long Beach School District, doing their before and after school programming. That was fun. That was a good time. I was there for 5 years. And then I met Jeff when I was home for getting ready to go to my 10-year class reunion. So I met him a week before that and in Bloomington. And then we just kind of hit it off, and I was in Bloomington for a few days. And so he hung out with us, me and my friend Cam and her boyfriend, soon to be.
Did you take him to the class reunion?
I did. And the reason I took him was because he he went to college at Millikan with guys that I went to high school with. In fact, I went to prom my junior year with one of his former roommates.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. And as friends, And so I don't know how we didn't cross paths in college, but we didn't. And so he knew all the guys from my class. I'm like, he's an easy date.
Yeah.
And my mom liked him.
Cool.
So.
Oh, well, that definitely.
Well, I liked him too.
Does she still? That's the question.
She does. How can you not?
Yeah,
I mean, he's such a cool dude.
He is a cool dude.
So, then the rest is history. I went back out to California for 1 year and came back, married Jeff, moved to Bloomington, moved to Peoria area. Now we're here. We've been here for 15, 16 years.
Okay, so when was it that you played the guitar? Didn't you do some hippie stuff for a while in California?
Yeah. So I worked at a camp, a residential camp in Northern California near Tahoe, I guess central Northern California, near Tahoe. And I learned how to play guitar there. Primarily I worked at the waterfront. So this is not I learned your A, B, C, D, G,
Yeah.
E.
That's all it takes.
Yeah. And so I did learn that stuff. And then one summer they were just dying for someone to teach guitar and they didn't have anybody. And so they asked me to teach it. And I was like, I don't know what you're thinking. But okay, I'll give it a try because I'll try anything. And so I'm teaching guitar and the kid that's in the guitar class started teaching me. So I'm not,
As long as you kept paying, who cares? That's awesome.
Yeah.
One of the questions I get all the time is, I want my son or daughter to learn how to play the guitar. Do you know anybody that can teach him?
I get that question too.
And so now I have a
Do not
name
come
that
to
has
me.
just risen up to the top of the list.
She's a great, if you want to
not
get to
come
know
to
her
me.
ahead of time, you can listen to this Hot Seat
And
podcast.
I also learned that you didn't want to teach in the classroom, so this wouldn't be in a classroom. You'd be
This is
teaching
true.
guitar in some other environment.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So raised Methodist in Aledo?
No, I was raised Presbyterian, and I was brought up in the church.
You were?
I was brought up in the church. Primarily, my mom is the one that goes to church. So my dad's never been a huge churchgoer. It just wasn't a part of his life. And it still isn't a huge part of it. I mean, but it is because my mom and my dad are still married. I mean, you know, so mom took us to church, and every summer I would go to Galesburg for a week and stay with my cousins. And my cousins went to a Baptist church somewhere in Galesburg. They had a little school within it and everything. And they would take me every summer for a week or so, and I'd go to their VBS. So I'd go to my VBS and their VBS, but their VBS was way more fun because I had cousins.
Oh, yeah.
And so when one year, I would say it was my third, fourth grade year, I went to VBS there. And while I had been brought up in the church, I mean, I just didn't really ever care so much about the church, only because my mom and dad both didn't go, and I'd rather stay home and watch Kids Incorporated.
I do remember that one.
Yeah. And so I would fight, right, with my parents. I'd be like, Dad doesn't have to go to church. Mom's like, too bad, you're going. And Dad's like, get out. Oh. And so, no, they didn't. They weren't just like that. But, you know, I can imagine how they're thinking now that I'm a parent. But so I went, and when I was at their VBS, there was this lady, her name was Darcy, and she kind of like took me under her wing, and I don't know why. She just took to me, and she kind of mentored me into accepting God.
Really?
Yeah. I remember calling my mom on the phone and telling her about it. And she was just like so excited, you know, such a big deal. And
wow.
I really need to get a hold of Darcy. I know that she lives now in Dunlap area, because my aunt told me that not too long ago. But so she kind of mentored me, like, so I was there for that week, and then she would write me back and forth when she was living in Galesburg.
That is so cool.
Yeah, and she'd send me like little assignments to do to learn about God and stuff like that. And then I got a letter from her saying that she was moving away because of her husband's job. And so then that was kind of like the end of it. But yeah, I probably should get a hold of her. Just, you know,
that is such a cool
tell her thanks.
And that was a fairly big thing in your life, though, your faith walk.
Oh, totally. That would be what started it. And, you know, I mean, just like anyone, I guess, growing up, I would go in and out of my faith walk, you know. And I would say I went out for quite a long time, you know, all the way through probably like my sophomore year in high school, all the way through until a couple years before I moved back to Illinois. I do feel like God like kept one foot on me.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't go too far.
Yeah.
You know, still didn't make good decisions, of course, you know, like you, as any kid, you know. So anyway, you know, like he always kept a foot on me. Like I always knew he was there. I just never really cared up until I got a little bit older. And then I moved in with a girl in California, and she was a real big Christian, but still was really fun, you know, because I kind of knew being a Christian as like a lot of rules and not being able to do anything that you want to do, you know, and so just kind of being restrictive. But she was really fun and cool, and her and her now husband had a big, you know, kind of got me. They tried to get me to go to church. I didn't go. But I mean, they piqued my interest more and kept me there. And then once they moved, and then I was living on my own, I started going to church
in California. Really?
And yeah, so I would find, so it was kind of like a mid-sized church. You know, I could just go in, go out.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit of an introvert, so I don't really care to like sit and have big full-on conversations with people, you know?
Yeah,
I don't know. But I do like church, you know? So I liked listening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I think we've got somebody on the phone. Oh, man. One of these times we're going to do that. We're going to have somebody on the phone, and we're going to surprise somebody with a...
I'm just thinking, boy, wouldn't it be cool if we could get Darcy on the phone right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things we never do with these podcasts is forethought, you know? And so we just start talking. So
that's probably a good thing.
That'll be the follow-up to this. We'll have Kristan come back, and we'll call all of these influences.
Yeah.
and let them know how they've impacted your life.
Aw.
So this is a very cool story, though. So how did you end up with this roommate, this Christian roommate?
Like I said, I think God just always had a foot on me.
Yeah. So I mean, did
Yeah.
you need a roommate and she needed a roommate?
Well,
or how
we
did it
had
work?
worked together at a restaurant in Huntington Beach.
Okay.
And we were just drawn to each other, you know. She was
Yeah.
real sweet and everything. And so we worked together for a while, and then we didn't work together, but for some reason we stayed in touch. And one day she contacted me and she's like, hey, she went to Long Beach State University, and I worked for Long Beach School District as well. So I don't know if that kept us in touch. I don't know. And so she contacted me one day, and she's like, hey, I am looking for a roommate. Do you want to live in like the Long Beach area or the Huntington Beach area with me? And I'm like, yeah, that'd be great. That'd be wonderful. So at that point, I had, I guess, retrospect here. I mean, to go back a second here, when I did move out to California, I stayed with these people, Sandy and Ray Crabtree, and they're huge Christians. Their daughter had just moved up to Idaho. And so they just took me in. And in California, that's just kind of the way people do things. Mm-hmm. Like they rent rooms out of people's homes. So I would say 80% of the time I lived out in California, I was renting a room out of someone else's house. And we all lived together in the house. But I had my own room. It sounds weird, huh? It's normal there. So
No, it's just a side of you that's kind of cool, right?
Oh.
You were this kind of a drifter, right?
yeah.
Were you a drifter? Like a guitar playing?
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'll stay at your house. Yeah.
Honestly, I needed to find myself.
Not a drifter, but you were like a young person
I was
living in California, rooming with whoever.
Well, and I kind of needed to find myself too.
Yeah.
So
I did that. I moved to Texas to find myself. I found a wife, and I still haven't found myself. But that's all right.
That's a Riley joke.
Hey, yeah.
No. So anyway, they were really good.
That's just so cool. And so then when you started going back to church on your own, you said, what was the catalyst in making you start going to a church after those years of not going to a church?
Just, it wasn't working. Me wasn't working. Like I knew I needed that back. And I think I had gotten kind of pushed away from the church too, just because I had been in a church that had broken up in high school. That's probably what pushed me away completely, because I saw the ugly side of a church breaking up.
Oh, like it was a church split?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
And some people who had invested in me in that church, that first church I had gone to as a kid, they were cast out. But they were really important to me in my life. So I just kind of shut down on the church front. So it, when you're living for, when you think that you're in control of everything, it just does not work. It didn't work for me. And so, I started going to church, and I would just go on Sundays, I didn't do anything extra. And then God put Jeff in my path. I'm pretty sure God put Jeff in my path because, I went a whole way that I shouldn't have gone, and
how else does one find
home.
a man such as Jeff?
I know.
Well, and from what you said earlier, he was pretty close to people that you knew.
6 degrees
it's
of
almost
separation.
like God had him around. You just weren't.
I wasn't looking.
So Jeff,
I want to know. Yeah. I want to know how he caught your attention.
Jeff?
Yeah.
Oh, I can visualize the second that it was. So we were out at at Schooners for someone's work event.
Yeah.
So they were celebrating the end of a great big basketball tournament. This basketball tournament, Jeff he had worked at the Illinois High School Association at that time.
IHSA, yep.
Mm-hmm. And he was on the committee for this big tournament, and so they were celebrating this, and he had just got done playing softball. And we were all there together, and I'll never forget, my friend Cam said, hey, Kristan, you got to meet this guy. His name's Jeff. And Jeff was a roommate to Hugh Brown back in high school, from high school, but in college. And I'm like, no way. And I just will never forget it. I met him, and I was instantly I knew something was going to happen. I could just see it. He says he did not.
Playing
Isn't
it
that
cool.
funny? Isn't that
Playing
funny?
it cool.
You said he was a cool guy.
Yeah, that's how cool he is.
So we got about 10 minutes left because I know that you've got to get on somewhere too. And so, I want to hear. So you said, because that was part of your God story.
Yeah.
God brought Jeff into your life, and so continue with that thought.
Okay. So then I meet Jeff. We have this long distance relationship. We end up getting married. And Jeff he grew up in the church. It was a huge part of his life. Huge part of his life. He never missed. Both his parents went. Like, it was just a must do. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. And so when I met him, I'm like, hey, do you want to go to church? We got to go to church together. Well, and then we decided to get married too. And we were kind of church hopping, but we needed somewhere to get married. And all these churches were like, do you go to church here? No. Well, no, we can't marry you. Do you go to church here? No. Okay. So we end up going to, my last ditch effort was to go to a Methodist church in Bloomington, the big Methodist church in Bloomington. And they're like, yeah, of course, we'll totally do it. And Stan married us, Stan Irving.
What?
Yes,
No.
you've talked about him before.
He's a friend
do you
of
know
mine.
Stan?
Friend of mine.
He's what, a DS down south?
He's a superintendent now.
Oh yeah, he married us. We were his first wedding
We could totally call Stan.
at Bloomington.
I could, but no. Anyway, go ahead.
And so we just started going to that church. And then we got moved over here for Jeff's work.
Okay.
We went to the CVB over here and in Peoria. And church hopped around here, found this place, could come in and out and not have to talk to anybody. And then Donna and Joe grabbed hold of us, got us in Awana, got us connected.
Talk about that. What that was like when they got a hold of you.
Yeah. I guess they just noticed us, I really do. You might notice some days I'll just go in and go out really fast. But they caught me and started talking to us, got us, at that time, Jeff and I had been married for a couple years, and then Jeff's dad got sick and passed really quickly. And I think after that, we really decided that we needed to make this our home, and everything. And so they saw us, they were trying to get us connected. It was kind of hard to connect us with people because at the time it was small group city around here. But we didn't have kids. And so we didn't really fit anywhere. And when I was okay with that, honestly, but at the time, but then we ended up getting pulled into not Awana. Alpha. Did I say Awana before? I think I did. I meant Alpha.
Okay.
We got pulled into Alpha, and that was really great. We learned all kinds of stuff, And then, but really, I think the ultimate thing from that was that we got connected with other people. And in fact, I don't remember their names, but I just ran into them last night. They were in our Alpha group. I ran into them at a cross country meet yesterday, and I hadn't seen them in a real long time. They're from the Metamora area.
Wow.
Yeah. But so then that happened, and then we were put into a small group, and we all kind of had some similar things going on in our lives. And then we got pregnant, and then we got put into a small group with the Meachums. That was fun. We're still kind of got that going. Everyone's really busy right now.
Yeah.
Kids are kind of crazy. The Meachums are often different. And, they're at a different church now with
he's a pastor.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have that small group, and then from that just came getting to know different people, and now I feel like I
have a question.
few different groups.
Are you in that group that Lisa is a part of too? Lisa Bonzo?
Yeah, small group or
Bible study?
Bible study.
Yeah, because you were talking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a question, and I know that you make it look easy, but it's probably not easy, and it's probably a struggle sometimes. But you guys, I always see the three of you together at church. So like you do a lot of activities here at church as a family. Mm-hmm. Like, what would you say to somebody that's listening that like wants to get the family together to do things, but there's always maybe one person that it's hard to get them to do it. So how do you guys do it? I mean, like, I know that you all do, individual things. You're on Mission 316, and Jeff does committees and things like that. But you find time to do things together too at church.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's top down, honestly. I mean, that's like, it's just the way it is at our house. So Jeff, Kate's got a lot of really great Jeff qualities. So Kate doesn't really fight going to church. She doesn't fight serving. I did as a kid. That was a big thing for me. And that was a big fighting point, I suppose. But we just make it what we do. It's just what we do. And Kate loves to help. So we're lucky in that sense so like she started working in the preschool program on Sunday mornings at 8:15. Wow. So we got her in that. Like she likes to lead, things like that and be part of that. But I would say just cultivating that culture within your family. I mean, it really, obviously we only have one kid. So there's only one kid personality in my family right now, which I think, I don't have that dynamic in my family where we have more than one child. And so, I only have one kid to do what I want, So.
Yeah. I just always see you guys, and you're always, because like at a Helping Hands event or something, and you guys are like excited. Everybody's excited to be there.
Well,
and just giving it everything they got, and I always...
Yes.
I just think that's great.
I'm glad you brought that up. And so there's something that I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit today, and that is just having like a mission mind, like cultivating that mission mind. And when I say that, I don't mean like mission mind, you need to go out and be a missionary at a different country. I mean, just keeping yourself mission minded in everything that you're doing, right? Okay. I mean, obviously we're not perfect, and so we can't constantly always be thinking of other people. I mean, you have to, that takes a lot of intention. But just like, I know Jeff and I try and work with Kate so that she knows to think of others in what she's doing, whether it be you smile at your friend down the hall.
Wow.
I mean, just it's that simple, right? Like you don't have to go across the world to be in missions.
Right. Yeah.
Like missions start right in your family, and then it just grows out from there and just keeps going and going and going. And you can take it as far as you want. That's how I see missions.
That's really cool.
I hope that Kate and anyone else, I think kids in general, I hope that they can see that the power that they have just in like those simple things, like just helping your friend, inviting them over to go. They're having a bad day, inviting them to go to Wednesday night kids.
Yeah. Youth group. Yep.
Youth group. Taking them upstairs on Sunday morning, to Breakfast Club, or just going to a Helping Hands event, or just going and giving flowers to like flowers that you picked out of your own garden, not anybody else's garden, to your neighbor, right?
It's all about, I think it's all about making it a habit, right? Because then after a while, the habits just become part of who you are.
Right. Agree.
I love that, you make the great point that it starts with the tiniest of things.
Yes.
Right? Like a lot of times people think about, I don't have time to do this, or this doesn't fit in my schedule, or like, how can I do this? How can I do something big for God? But what you said first, I think, was probably the most powerful thing. And that is to like smile at people when you see them. Yeah. Right? Even if you don't know them. I mean, if you're having a bad day and someone smiles at you, I mean, that brings, a joyful heart brings cheer. Joyful face brings cheer to the heart, Yeah. I mean, but you can like literally shine the light of Jesus with a facial expression. And if you do that to people you don't know, you're going to stand out from people who are just going about their own business.
Yeah.
Well,
and then let it grow from there. But boy, no, it is that easy.
Well, I'm sure there's many people in the world who would be on a podcast talking about what brought them to Christ. And it was maybe a simple action by somebody that, my friend at school she just always smile at me when nobody else did.
Yeah.
And that brought me to know who Jesus is. I mean, like it's that simple.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be so simple. Why are you in such a good mood? Oh my goodness, I just did this or that at my youth group, or I just served. Why'd you serve? I was with my church. Why do you go to church? Oh, because I love God.
Yeah.
Why do you love God? Oh, I mean, it just takes you to all.
It's a simple action, right? I got invited to church, and that changed the whole course of my life. You know?
Yeah, that's right. So I gotta tell you, I remember Kate was one of the first horse trough baptism Sundays that we did. You remember that?
Oh yeah,
That was awesome.
It was either the first year or the second year.
She did it.
Yeah, that was so cool.
Yeah, and she was just like, I want to do that. Like that was all. Like she just was all in.
That's so cool.
She's had herself some. When she gets older, you'll have to talk to her.
Yeah. So let's talk about. In summary, we're over time now. So what is? I thought about this question earlier. What is one thing you would tell your teenage self? That's a true hot seat question.
Do you ask everybody that?
No, I just thought of it this morning for you.
Okay. I would say not to worry about what everyone else is thinking, because they're not really thinking about what it is you're doing, and not to worry so much about that, and to be who you are, because when you're trying to be someone else, you can't be her.
That's awesome.
You can't be someone else, because you are who you are, and embrace that and just do what you can do with, just accept it.
That's great.
Accept who you are, and God will take it from there.
That's great. And then the second one, what is something you tell your 20-something self?
Oh.
These are just questions just for you that I came up with.
My 20-something self, I would tell her that, I don't know. I felt like that was a big, my 20-something self told my teen-something self that it's going to be all right, girl. Like, you're going to be okay. And you're going to be good to go. Like there was like a whole like shift, I feel like, in my 20s, I think probably moving out to California by myself, knowing that I could do that. And that it wasn't like the world wasn't as small as where I grew up, and there's more out there, and you're going to be okay.
That's good.
No, but that life just keeps getting better. I would say that, like, life just keeps getting better. Like, you're never going to really have it all planned out. Don't plan it.
Awesome.
And don't worry, the Cubs will win a World Series.
Yes.
Who would have thought?
Yes.
So the final question is, what would you tell your 30-something self?
Well, Kristan's only 30, so how does this...
Yes. Well, that you're going to go in a lot of different directions than you ever expected. I mean, what you think, like I said, like I had a plan. I've always had a plan. And I would say probably when I gave up the plan, that's when God took over, and that's when my life started to become more centered on Him, centered on others, centered on learning more about Him and about how He can impact my life. And
so once you got out of the way, right?
Once I got out of my way, get out of your way, girl.
It's all good stuff, guys. Well, what are some of the summarizing thoughts real quick? The lessons. I'm seeing the thing of key people again.
Yep.
Like Darcy made a difference in a young girl's life. Your roommate, right? Her impact of being a fun Christian. Just like she invited you, a key person in your life. I'm thinking about how, I'm thinking of the young man who's like, well, can I be a Christian? Will any cool girl want to be with me? And you say, Jeff was like, no, church is what I do. So like, be like Jeff, guys, stick with it. I'm thinking about Donna and
Joe.
Yeah.
And just like they saw you and they wouldn't let you slip away and they helped you find a place. So what about you guys?
I think even just saying the Donna and Joe story, that like is a good example for all of our ministries. Like we need to, it comes with prayer, but also listening to God. But when you see somebody and you go, I think they need to be a part of my ministry, to go up and grab them. Don't like take no for an answer.
wait.
Like, go for it, you know? And I think
Yeah.
so often we just, oh, well, so-and-so would be great in our ministry. And then you just let them walk, you know? And it's like, no, you got to grab a hold of them and sometimes you got to shake them and then just pull them in.
You do, because I've had to be shaken. I've had to be drug along. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's just a good reminder that discipleship really starts at home. Not once did I hear you say that, well, we send our kid to youth group to, learn more about Jesus. It starts at home. It's lived out at home. And then from there, it multiplies. And I think that's important. If people want to know how to produce faith in their kids, it's got to start at home. So,
Yeah, well, thanks so much for being here, Kristan.
Thanks.
And thanks for your great leadership in our church. And it's great to hear how God has brought you to this point, and who knows what he's got planned for the future.
Amen.
All right.
Amen.
We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.